How you doing? You good?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Just having a good day with the students.
Yeah.
We're all very keen to learn more about the media industry.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stop presenting because what I was about to do then was I was going to just put up your Instagram and show them a few bits.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, I can still do that in a minute. But now you're here anyway. Welcome to NewVIc Online.
Hello, gang.
And
I've never done a Google Meet before. It's always Zoom, so I'm like, wow, this is.
Oh right, okay, brilliant. So, Ayshe, what have you just been doing? So, have you been interviewing?
So basically, I'm doing a job with Converse at the moment.
Oh,
and
brilliant.
Because all of this whole, you can't do real shoot. Well, you can do real shoots, but where people are plotted all around the UK, they've decided to do this, like a FaceTime content thing. So we've been fake FaceTiming through Zoom and then recording that to make content.
Nice. So this is like content for the website, social media platforms and things like that.
Yeah, Instagram, IGTV stuff. There's a lot that goes into that kind of thing now. They kind of sort of plan so much how they're gonna have their like reels and IGTV content. It's a bit crazy, but I guess that's the world that we're in right now.
Yeah. More and more effort is being put into the presentation of this stuff.
Yeah.
More and more work. So you were doing fake Zoom or Google Meet online thing.
We're just filming the screen, and now I'm gonna edit it so it's like inside an iPhone, basically.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. And what are you showing the Converse products online or anything?
Yeah, we've got like all the people that are inside the phone have been sent like a shoe, so we're getting them to like pose with a shoe like this. It's a bit of a crazy way to direct people through Zoom, but it's becoming more and more common now. I've got a friend who's a stylist who's also on the job, and she's been on loads of jobs at the moment where there'll be people on set, like in a studio, and she'll be styling it from home through Zoom. She'll be like, can you untuck that side of the shirt? And can you put this jumper on? It's like, normally they would be there to do that, but now it's all through this.
That's madness, isn't it? Like, take that hat off, swap it for this color.
Yeah, crazy.
I was listening to Guy Ritchie talk about, it was the 20th anniversary of Snatch recently. And he was saying he's been directing people online. He was directing Jason Statham in something, but you know, shouting through the computer.
Oh my god!
Like, stop what you're doing. Look more sad. Crazy.
That's the world we're in, I guess.
Okay then. So what we're going to do, Ayshe, if you don't mind, if you could just give a little brief intro to the students of like who you are, what you do, and then we'll basically just get on with sharing some visuals, and then you can talk about some of the work, and then they can start asking you questions.
Yeah, cool.
That's good.
Yep. Well, I'm Ayshe. I'm 25, and I've been working for myself for 3 years now. Before that, I used to work at Rinse FM doing all of their visuals, and before that, I used to work at Arsenal Football Club. So any Gooners in here? I used to basically film like the pre-match interviews and the post-match stuff. You know, where there's all the logos behind their heads type thing. And how I got into it was really, I did media at GCSE, media at A-level, and I just was always creating stuff. It never felt like a chore. I would just love making things, and I always loved using a camera, so that was most important. And then I did a film and TV production degree at the University of York, and we had like so much equipment and great facility there that it was just like, why not use all of this? I was making like crazy weird TV shows because we had TV studios, so we was doing like that kind of thing. And my degree was really video based, but then I decided that I wanted to be a photographer, even though I'm doing a whole degree about video. And loads of people on my course thought, well, I mean, you're doing video, why are you doing that? But I decided that that's just what I wanted to do. Bought myself a camera. I was taking photos of drunk people in clubs for money, just learning how to like use my camera properly and like all the different settings and like how to adapt in different situations. And from that, it just continued, and I started really enjoying it. So every time I came back home during holidays, when I wasn't studying, I was trying to get on music videos and just kind of be anywhere making stuff as much as I could. And then I managed to get like a foot in the door in a few different places and met like some video producers, some directors who were just like, oh, you can come, you know, make the tea on a video. It ended up being on like a few Skepta videos quite early, which were really crazy. And I was just like, okay, I can kind of see, like, you learn so much just from being on a shoot and being around people doing kind of, I guess, what you want to do. And then from there, I realized that my degree might be in video and I have this passion for photography, but I can do both. And I think that's really important thing to say here, especially, is that like, you don't just have to do one thing or be really good at one thing, even though some people will teach you that that is the right, like if you want to be a video editor, you should strictly be a video editor and you'll get as far as possible if you stick to that. But that's not something that I live by. Some people do, it works for them, but for me, I feel like it's better to kind of be someone who can do a lot of different things. So now I get approached by loads of different clients, loads of brands, and like record labels will come to me with briefs, or be like, we kind of had this idea for this artist or this trainer or whatever, and instead of me only being one role in those jobs, now I can ask for a lot more money and say that I can do the photos for you and produce this video and also edit it, which is a lot of work, and you do end up being like a crazy demon standing behind your computer all the time. But I mean, for me it's worked, and I think it's a really good way, because now I can, like, I know how to do loads of different things and I can teach people how to do that. And I feel the more that you know about even styling, for example, I'm not a stylist, but the more you understand it and what a stylist actually does, the better relationship you'll have with those kind of people, and the more understanding you'll have about like what actually happens on shoots and stuff. So I think that's super important. But yeah, so now I'm just freelancing for myself, and lockdown has been a bit crazy. It's been a bit of an adaptation to how it would, like, I used to shoot, maybe I used to be out 3-4 times a week shooting before all of this, and then suddenly I was just at home all the time. But then, like I said before, being able to do more than one thing, if I solely was someone who just shot stuff, I would be in a bit of a bad place. But where I did teach myself, and I do have that background of being able to edit as well, suddenly I had loads of editing work come in, and then lockdown wasn't so sad. So I mean, if that's a lesson, then, you know, that's the greatest one I could teach you.
Yeah, definitely. So the fact that you are skilled in like different areas in media has been a huge advantage in this situation, this current climate with lockdown and corona, but also it would be a massive advantage in a normal world as well, wouldn't it? Because
exactly.
I think if someone is meeting someone like you and then they're happy with what they've asked you to do, but then you say, oh, I can do this and this and this as well, maybe it's just easier for the clients to work with one main person and get everything done.
I think that's the way it's going, because before it would be you would be approached for like to do one thing, one role, like in the working in the media world, like in TV, like you would only be like, that's pretty old school still, the way that television runs. It's like you are one role, there is a director, there is a PA, whatever. But in like the content producing world, which is now like, we all basically, I mean, you've all got a TikTok or whatever, like that is content producing, and that is the way that all of this stuff is going. You all do it at home, and there's like, it's just with brands and stuff, it's just slightly more thought about. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy how that is, we just do it in our spare time, and that is what people put so much money into. So yeah, we are all content producers, really.
So it's all about like getting the highest quality content, basically, is what everybody's kind of competing for now, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty
like
much. The most standout TikTok vibe.
Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily have to be like super glossy high production, does it? You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be like money in stuff. It's just like a quality of design.
I don't have the most expensive camera in the world, and especially when I was starting and I just wanted to make stuff for fun, you don't have these big glossy red cameras that cost like 30 grand, because no one really buys them. You just hire them like when you're making a film or whatever it is. So for me, it was more like, it's not about what you have, it's how you use it. And I just had a small little DSLR for probably like the first 4 years that I was actually being paid to make stuff, and it was the same camera that I was taking pictures of drunk people on when I was at uni. And it was just how I used it and how I adapted, how I edited, that I still managed to get jobs from it. So, and that was a cheap old Canon. So it's like, it's very much what, like how you use your equipment. And I wouldn't say specializing, but I always offer like a VHS filming as well. Anytime I do a job, I say that I can film on tape, because I've got these really old cameras that my uncle gave me, and I've figured out how to, you know, digitize it, which is quite, with the current cameras that I do have, that is quite a long process, but I do know how to do it. So I can offer that as well. And VHS, I mean, it looks pretty shitty, but people love that. It's like a DIY analog feel that everyone just, I mean,
people are getting like
filters
back
for it, but you
into
can do it for real.
listening to vinyl records. Obviously, is a huge thing now. People are starting to like. Well, 10 years ago, people were releasing music on tapes again and saying like, we've got these tapes. People like the quality of certain sounds and visuals from older like media formats, don't they?
Yeah,
I never left.
You like the VHSs as well, Ayshe?
Absolutely.
And the old vinyl records.
I still have them.
Nice. Yeah.
Still play.
I'm starting. Yeah, I'm starting to get a nice collection together now as well.
My friend's an artist, and she just released a single on a cassette.
Oh, really?
And she's like new and coming up, so it's like, you know, it's not. It might be lower down in the ranks in terms of like popularity and whatever, but I think I'm
loving it.
Nice. At least people can have something physical they can hold in their hand, you know, like a little cassette, rather than it just be digital and, you know, online.
Yes,
that's nice. So should we just? Do you mind? Should we go through your Instagram and just have a quick look at some of the pics, Ayshe? You want to talk about some of the jobs? Okay. So I don't know whether it's easier for me to share my screen or for you to share your screen, and then you can control your own. So you've got a little present down in the bottom right corner there.
Let's have a look. Got it.
Okay, cool. And then I guess we'll just sort of briefly
can you see
go through a couple of you from
you can see it.
Everybody else can see it. Okay.
I'll get my boring emails out of the way. Sorry about that. Right. How do I go to myself? Here we are.
Okay.
So cool. I guess we'll just start from here. So this is like a job for Clarks. They just did, again, fitting in with the whole new streaming situation. Instead of doing a real show, which they would have done, they just gave all of these different artists some Clarks shoes to wear, and they did a live stream from a studio. So it's like these things that normally would have people there, now it's all just through the internet, which is crazy. I've got here, this is Puma from some windows, which that's Sports Direct. And that was a campaign with a Team GB athlete and a Norwich football player. And these kind of jobs always, like, they seem crazy when you see that they're in the windows, and it's like, wow. But the first window that I ever did, I really didn't get paid for it properly because I didn't know. And even still, like, pricing up jobs, there's still not like, there's not a textbook answer. There's not an equation that tells you this is how much you should be charging or this is how much you'll get. Like, people will see this and be like, whoa, she must be a millionaire. Well, not necessarily, but you know what I mean. But it's not always like that. So I think that's a key point in this whole media world, is that you never really know how to price things up. But one thing I would say is that when you're starting, doing things for free is the best way to do anything, because you have to do that to get your foot in the door and to meet the right kind of people. You have to do things for free. And talking for doing things for free, this is one of my friends' his dad owns a corner shop, and he had a really good idea to invite loads of our friends that are artists down to just like perform in the corner shop. And normally, like, a full day shoot, I'd charge X amount, but for this I was like, I really want to do this. Like, this is a really cool concept. Even this picture alone, I'm like, he was rapping down the beer aisle, you know, like, that's pretty sick. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. And having those kind of passion projects that you do, I think, is super important, because otherwise you can't really like differentiate between like work and play, even though, because what I do is like stuff that I love making videos, I love editing, I love taking photos, editing photos, and directing. But there's like a line where it becomes just a job sometimes. And so being able to, well, just allowing yourself to do some passion projects is super important. I've got some jobs here, like this is with Western. I met their manager years ago, and then now I like go onto their music videos and take some like behind the scenes shots of the artists. This is all on film, and I was paid to do digital photos like this, but I always bring a film camera with me as well, because like we was talking about, like, everyone just loves the analog feel, so I'll always just bring a little analog camera with me and get some little bits like that. Some live concert stuff here, which doesn't happen anymore, but I made a whole content series in the studio with Mira May, where we just in the studio with record loads of different recording artists, and just filming the process of making music, which is, I mean, I don't make music.
Ayshe, how did Box Park get in touch with you for the vlogging?
Oh, okay. So where are we? Here. This is me being a fool for Box Park, but that's so I don't know. I was just a fool on my Instagram stories aside from working, and I had a friend who started a job there as like PR, and he messaged me and he said we're looking for a video series, and they actually wanted me to film it and edit it, and then my friend said, why don't you present it? I was like, well, I can't hold the camera and be in front of it. So then I teamed up with my friend and kind of, well, I initially already pitched a whole series that got signed off, like the budget got signed off for me to film it and edit it. And then the CEO got back after seeing a video of me being a fool and said, oh my God, I want you to be in front of the camera. So I was like, oh God, now I'm going to have to rebudget. So I did that, and then I did a little series with them as well. But I also edited them all as well myself. Yeah. So all these videos,
I really like them. You did a really good job with those.
Thank you. Just
and it looks like it was such a fun job as well, because obviously you're getting to taste the food and throw an axe.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
And do all of the little activities.
Yeah, I shouldn't really eat cheese as well, but I ate a lot of cheese while I was doing that. So
amazing. And I guess you would be doing that still now if it was open and they were open and potentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, literally. I mean, they've had to close everything. So even they, I mean, I don't think haven't checked their Instagram actually. I don't know if they've like replaced me with someone that's like doing online stuff, but they don't really have much of a choice, which is quite sad. But there's a lot of brands at the moment that are a bit like that.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you for that little overview there of some of your work. I think it's probably a good idea to sort of get into some of the questions from the students now, because maybe you know, you might use like a visual example to answer some of the questions or whatever. So I'll say to the students now to start putting their questions into the chat, and I will. Okay, so the students are saying things like, I love this so far, and hi, and hello. Okay,
hello,
so media students, if you want to start putting some questions in for Ayshe, then I'll sort of communicate them for you, so we don't all have our mics turning on and off at once. And then I've got some saved on my phone as well from some other students. So let me just start off with these ones that I've got saved from some students in C3. So we've got a question from Anne here. So she's asking, how do you put yourself out there, and how do you create your own personal brand?
Like when I first started taking photos, don't mind if you hear my dog barking in the background, by the way, it's a bit of a nuisance. But what was I saying? Yeah, when I first started taking photos while I was at uni, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew that I was enjoying it, and I just kept like giving myself like a theme. So one day I'd be like, cool, I'm gonna do like buildings and street photography today, and then I would build teach myself in Photoshop how to, like, you know how you have a square on Instagram, I'd like put a few of them up, and then I'd made myself a logo and just put my logo under it and just put that up, and I made a few of those, and then that eventually turned into, I can do street photography, I can do portrait photography, I can do events photography, like just like little kind of like cards essentially of like examples of like small portfolio snippets. And I just started uploading those, and over time I got a few people that would be like, oh, I've seen that you do this, I've got this, I don't know, this formal dinner, would you come and take photos of it? And it's like, and then from there it just kind of built up. And I think the most important thing is to, like, if you want to do something, do it and make sure that you have enough proof that you're doing it. So you can't say that you're really good at taking portraits, or you're a portrait photographer. Do you have that in the bank? Like, if I say pull up a portrait that you've taken, like, do you have a few, or did you just take one and you really enjoyed it, or do you really want to do that? But like, you need to actually be it. Do you know what I mean? And even if there's a big element of fake it till you make it in this world. I mean, even still now I get jobs and I'm like, I can't believe, like, I'm literally sitting here in my bedroom with all my messy clothes behind me, and I'm editing a job for like FC Porto, and on this little MacBook, and it's just like, there's a lot of like, what's that thing? Imposter syndrome in it. But if you actually live what you're doing, if you are a video editor, I edit videos every day, then I am a video editor, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Turn my mic on there. Okay, thank you. So we got Noxia here asking, how do you promote yourself other than Instagram?
For me, like I don't even really try to use Instagram to promote myself. I just kind of use it as a visual portfolio, because so many brands and PR people will just type in your name on Instagram. So if you don't have work on there, then it's a bit useless for you basically in terms of work. But otherwise, I mean, before I just used to be at loads of events that were with people that were in like the circles that I kind of wanted to work in type thing. So like I do a lot of work in like the trainer world, like with sneakers and JD and stuff. And I would go to all of the trainer events where, you know, they used to have like in-store shows and stuff. I'd make sure I'd be there even if I wasn't working. I'd just be there because I wanted to be there and enjoy it. But also that's where you meet the people that are working on these things. But in the world now, that doesn't really exist anymore. So I guess it's been at the moment, it's just word of mouth for me. It's just being recommended and making sure that I do a good job, and then someone else will say, "Oh, Az was really good on that job," and then just so word of mouth is really powerful. I did have a little business card as well when I was first starting out. I used to give that to everyone, so that's a good way to start as well.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you there, Ayshe, in terms of if you've done work with someone and then they say to other people like, "Oh, they were easy to work with, they did a really good job." That's kind of the best way. That's how I've got all of my little jobs.
100%.
Through like just networking, through humans telling other humans.
Yeah. What I would say is though, at the beginning, like don't be afraid to email loads of people. I used to make a list of all of the brands that I wanted to work for. This was way before I'd even got any paid work, and like all of the photographers that I really like, get their contacts and literally either check their websites. If it's like a company like Sony, I used to check their website all the time if they had a job, because I used to think I wanted to work there. But just hitting their emails or finding people on LinkedIn and just asking if you can shadow them or if they ever need a runner or help, because there's a lot of tea making in the beginning. But that's the way you get a foot in the door. And if you're great at making tea, they remember your face and you're nice to them, then that's how you get the next job, you know.
We've got Mariam here asking, like, would you or are you willing to collaborate with up and coming creators who want to be in the media industry, etc., models, actors?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, me personally, absolutely, because I started a brand called Pay Your Shooter because when I was starting and I kind of was getting a few paid jobs here and there, it got to a point where people started kind of like taking advantage a little bit, and they'd be like, "Oh, would you like to come to this event? And it'd be really cool if you like took some photos and sent us like all of these photos." And being young and naive, I would do that anyway, but I would have done it like I did it for the love of it. But after a while, you kind of see where people are asking, where, you know, this is actually a job, you're actually asking me to work for you. But that's why I really like love working with younger people and getting like fresh ideas and stuff, because they have the best ideas, and the way, I don't know, it's just like having different views on it. And where I've been working in it for a while, I've got like a friend, she's much younger than me, and I work on treatments with her, like ideas to pitch to brands, and she just sees things completely different to me. And I'm like, at the beginning where I was so angry about not getting paid for stuff rather than doing it for the love, like there's such a balance in it. But I mean, yeah, while you're working up until get into a point where you're getting paid properly, I think it's super important to just be making loads of stuff and having loads of ideas. So definitely open to working with young people, absolutely.
Definitely. Abigail here has put a few questions in which all overlap photography, so I'm just going to read one of them. I think Abigail's very interested in photography, and she's basically asking what's some of your favorite photography work you've done and why?
I think all of my favorite photo jobs are really like behind the scenes stuff, which is like the lower end of the payment scale, but for me the highest end of the enjoyment scale, because you're kind of like fly on the wall in. And if you have a relationship with the people, like all of the musicians that I work with now, they're all like people that I would call my friends. So like just being with them like in the studio or during a music video where I just like, I don't know, take them aside quickly and like get a cool few shots where it's very candid and fast paced and you never really know what you're going to get. Whereas when you're kind of on like a sparkly set and you have these set images that you have to make for the client, it's like literally sometimes, like with that PUMA job, they literally had the exact image that they wanted basically made for me on Photoshop, and I just had to capture it in real life, which can get a bit quite boring. So yeah, I just like working with people that I like.
Yeah.
And that's the best, you get the best reaction out of people if like you're actually vibing off of them, and those are the best photos, even if they might be blurry.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Sounds good. So Umar is asking about working with musical artists. Now, Ayshe did mention working with some musicians for, was that Clark's advert that they brought in different artists?
Yeah, that was Clark's, yeah.
But Umar's asking, I think he's just interested in the music side of things. Have you ever worked with music artists? And if so, who have you worked with?
I've worked with loads of people. Where my old job was basically at a radio station, I had to film interviews and take photos of artists maybe 4 times a week. So, I mean, I've done an interview with Cardi B. I've done Damian Marley. I've done a few jobs for Stormzy. I did like his Murky Books launch, and when I don't know if you remember when he got on an airplane for his birthday and flew everyone out to Spain. I was taking photos for that.
No way, on the aeroplane.
Yeah, and everyone was really drunk on the plane, and I was there like.
So
it was great.
Wow, like Wolf of Wall Street. So actually, that is quite exciting, then, isn't it? When you're working with kind of musical artists, I guess there's a slightly more kind of showbiz side to things, isn't there? I guess with the music artists, that can be fun. Yeah,
defo, but also quite like intimidating a little bit, depending on like how big the artist is. Like if you're going into, basically artists have like press days at record labels where they literally have like 25 interviews in one day, and loads of different people with cameras are just rolling in and out, and depending on how important they are to the label or like how famous they are, it like shortens the amount of time that you get with them. And so that's a lot of pressure. Like if your battery dies or you haven't formatted your SD cards and you don't have enough memory, like it's super stressful.
Oh yeah, I bet.
But that is like even more so with footballers. Like when I was working at Arsenal, it's like you literally have them for a few minutes sometimes, and that is it. And if you don't get it, you haven't got it. So it's like super high pressure, and you really have to adapt. And that's why I think like learning your equipment, if you want to do photography, go out with your camera all the time and mess around with the settings as much as you can. Go into a completely different room and then try and bring it back to like how you want the photo. And doing just little tricks like that will teach you how to be like really fast. You don't necessarily have to be fast. Some photographers are really slow, but that's how I've worked and thrived, is like literally being able to run into that room, get a quick photo, run over there, that type of thing. So yeah,
be really efficient.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Abu Bakr here. He's got 3 questions, but let me just find one. So I think you've sort of mentioned this before, but again, it's like how did you get noticed by companies asking you to do the work? And did you reach out, or did they? I know you've sort of said that you think of ideas and then send them out as well.
I think, I mean, at the beginning, it was very much reaching out. It was like finding the email address of this studio or this advertising agency or PR company. PRs are really good people to get involved with if you want to get involved with like working with brands and stuff. Like getting emails from PR people is a good one. But at the beginning, it was very much shooting out loads of emails and seeing what would come back. Whereas now I've kind of got to a point where I've done all of that. So now I've got relationships with brands. So if I do have an idea for like PUMA, for example, I'd be like, this could really work for a PUMA campaign. If I just, I don't know, dreamt of an idea one day. If you then consolidate that dream into like a deck, a treatment for them, and send it off to them, there's no means to say that they won't be like, yeah, cool, we want that, and then you kind of get paid for it. But there's also like a sticky spot in that your idea can get stolen, and there's not much you can do about that at the moment. There's like stuff about intellectual property and that, but if you are willing to kind of pitch to someone and they take it, you can take them to court, but it's very sticky. But yeah, I've got a friend that not to sort of talk about Vice in a negative way, but that my friend used to work for them, and he said that a lot of ideas that come to them from other people, they just take. Yeah, and because at that stage, well, not always, but people that do just send treatments and stuff, if they don't already have a relationship, are people that are just willing to wanting to get a foot in the door. And then all of these big companies are just like, okay, you're basically no one, we're just going to take it anyway, you can't do anything about it, which is a horrible way to do things. But it happens a lot with music videos, and they record labels do this thing where they say they'll probably reach out to about 15 directors and say, hey, we've got this concept, like this brief basically for this artist, could you pitch us an idea? And all of them will send a pitch and probably like have a few sleepless nights over it, and then one of them will get picked, the others will just get completely ignored, and then they'll probably steal someone else's idea and say to that chosen director, oh, can you do this as well, and add that into your idea. So it very much does happen.
So it's a bit of a dog eat dog world then, in that way.
You've got to be prepared to like.
And then a link to that in terms of getting your foot in the door. Anne is asking, was it difficult for you to get where you are? And if so, what kind of mindset did you keep when you didn't give up? How did you keep a positive mindset?
I think you kind of, I'm like super emotional anyway. So when someone says no or like doesn't like anything, I'm like one of those people that really wants people to like them, because it hurts me too much when people don't. So like getting told no and rejected all the time is something that happens, and you just kind of have to know that is going to happen. And this is a kind of world where it does. I applied to like honestly endless like internships and little work experience programs, and pretty much all of them said no. And then I managed to get one, which was at like a post-production house in Soho, and I was like super buzzing because everyone had said no to me. And then I was like, yeah, raring to go. It was just 1 week, and I thought I was going to sit in like an editing suite with all of these great editors and learn loads of things. And I got there and they literally handed me a tray, and I was like, I'm not sure. And basically all the runners hub is the kitchen, and all you do is take orders for coffees, and that's all I did for a week. And I was getting really annoyed. I was like, this is not what I'm here for. But that's kind of that kind of level of, I don't want to be doing this. I know what I want to be in that room learning stuff with that guy. I don't want to make his tea. That's the kind of mentality I had at the beginning, and it made me angry a little bit. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So then I kind of built my own way of like meeting people and doing things on a little scale, as opposed to sticking to like the traditional, you be a runner for 4 years and then you're a junior. And because there is still that traditional way of working in the proper film industry. But like we said earlier, like content creation, and that's all blown up so much. And you can be a young director now, whereas being a director in TV, you kind of have to be like 40 years old. That's just the way it works. And because it's so old and traditional, whereas now I've kind of, well, I have anyway, flipped it a little bit, and I'm just like, I'm going to do my own thing. And the more stuff you make for yourself with people that like to make as well, the more proof you have that you can do that. And then the more people will see it. And then eventually it's like a domino effect.
The snowball.
You just got to know that it's
got to be in it to win it. So, right, let's just round this up then, Ayshe. So just one last question, because this has been quite a long session, actually. So how did you get into freelancing, and do you think it's better than being employed by a company or something?
Yeah, so this is actually like probably the perfect ending question, because I actually got fired from my full-time job. Well, I got let go because the company was having like money problems, and having an in-house photographer and videographer was like a luxury at the time, because I was working for a radio station. Radio is obviously not visual completely, so it's like they kind of let go of like 12 of us, and I was one of them. And during that time when I got let go, I was doing a few freelance bits here and there, because my old boss was really flexible, and she used to let me, if someone offered me to, like, there's a photo shoot, would you like to come and assist on it? I would ask my boss if she would let me go, and she'd usually let me take the day off. So I was already starting freelancing then, but it was like maybe one thing a month. And then I kind of got let go, and I was like, wow, like I don't know when I'm next going to make any money. So then that really just gave me the drive to be like, you are your own boss. Like, you don't have to. I could have just sat there and looked for loads of jobs and just been employed again, which is completely fine. But I don't know, I just made the decision in that week that it happened, that I was like, I'm not working for anybody else. Like, I know what I can do and what I can offer, and I don't want to be tied down. So I just decided to, just go out there by myself, and it paid off. And it's still now, I've been doing it for 3 years, and still now it's like, especially with the pandemic, it's like you really don't know when you're next going to get paid. But if you keep working at it, your rate gets higher and higher, and like maybe you do one job a month, and that covers now I base it off of what my salary was from my old job. If I can get a job that's half or more than that, then I'm done for the month type thing. But then you can never be lazy because you don't know when your next job is. So that's why I'm always busy, and most freelancers will tell you that. And I personally prefer it. I can't imagine working for anyone else ever again. That being said, who knows? But yeah, I got fired basically.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Ayshe. So guys, if you want to follow Ayshe on Instagram, just check out the work she's doing. You can follow her at As Captures, and you can follow the organization you set up called Pay Your Shooter.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so,
if you ever need any help, guys, just DM me. I'm open to ideas.
Amazing. Yeah. So if you want to ask Ayshe some questions, you can DM her, and check out her organization, Pay Your Shooter, which is supporting all like videographers and photographers to get paid properly for the jobs they do. An amazing cause. Thank you so much, Ayshe. That was so useful.
Thank you.
I'm sure they loved it.
I hope so. I didn't see any of your faces smiling, but I hope you were.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe next year you could actually come into college and give us a talk in person.
Yeah, hopefully. Could do a little workshop.
Yeah. Okay, well, people are saying thank you there in the messages.
Thanks,
yeah,
guys.
and a massive thank you from me and everybody at NewVIc. And take care of yourself.
Thank you.
You too. Have a great day, guys.
Nice one. Thank you, Ayshe. See ya.
Bye.